From the Pep Radio newsroom, these are the stories we are following at this hour. LGBTQ plus activist and former five-term Pennsylvania state legislator Brian Sims and his partner Alex Drakos wed on a frosty afternoon at the Massachusetts State Capitol in Boston just before Christmas. Sims announced that on Instagram this week. The intimate wedding was witnessed by their parents and officiated by a friend. Sims, the current CEO of Agenda PAC, which advocates for LGBTQ plus representation in politics, told Out the couple chose the Golden Dome, Massachusetts State House for its historic role in the fight for marriage equality. Massachusetts was the first state to recognize same-sex marriages in 2004. Sims called the day pretty incredible. It was around 10 degrees, so everyone was pretty resilient in coming out there and kind to spend the time, said Dracos, a UC Berkeley graduate who works with the pharmaceutical company Pfizer. A snowstorm that had blanketed Boston the night before and held up Sims' parents, who arrived just 2 hours before the ceremony, provided a magical backdrop for the ceremony, held on a balcony overlooking the city. After the ceremony, Sims said these are very treacherous times we're going into, and having the protection of the law and, more than that, an assurance that I think everyone deserves. And if you're considering that, you should too, he said of other couples considering tying the knot. Remember all the talk about Pizzagate? Well, we have an update to that story. Police in Kannapolis, North Carolina, killed 36-year-old Edgar Maddison Welch, the so-called Pizzagate conspiracy theorist who carried a gun into a gay-owned Washington, D.C. pizzeria in 2016 under the belief that the business's non-existent basement was a venue for child molestation, and that involved high-ranking Democrats. On January 4th, two Kannapolis police officers lethally shot Welch during a traffic stop. One officer pulled Welch over to arrest him for an outstanding warrant and for probation violation. But when the officer opened Welch's car door to apprehend him, Welch allegedly pulled out a handgun from his jacket and pointed it at the officer. When a second officer told Welch to drop his weapon, Welch reportedly didn't comply and was fired upon by both officers. He was hospitalized and died from his wounds 2 days later, according to The Guardian. The officers, Brooke Jones and Caleb Tate, have been placed on administrative leave while the state's Bureau of Investigation looks into the incident. On a brighter note, Pittsburgh native Evan Wolfson recently was awarded the Presidential Citizens Medal during a ceremony at the White House for his pioneering work in the marriage equality movement. Wolfson, who grew up in Squirrel Hill and now lives in New York City, was feted by President Joe Biden on January 2nd, for decades of advocacy that culminated in the 2015 U.S. Supreme Court ruling that same-sex marriage is a constitutional right. Wolfson was one of the 20 individuals chosen for the medal for having performed exemplary deeds of service for their country or their fellow citizens, the White House said. Wolfson was lauded by the White House for helping millions of people in all 50 states win the fundamental right to love, marry, and be themselves, and for his singular focus and untiring optimism to change not just the law, but society, pioneering a political playbook for change and sharing its lessons, even now, with countless causes worldwide. For more information about these stories, check out paequality.com. Be sure to download the Live 365 app to catch news and more music throughout the day. That's the news at this hour. Now back to more music on Pep Radio.